Hey guys, so we're going to review a little bit with relations and functions. I think this is something that you either get really easily or you struggle with a little bit. So I'm going to go through some guided notes. Hopefully you've printed those off and you're ready to get started. I'm going to go through some of these that are already filled in. If you need to pause at any time, please do so to take notes and then resume the video as needed. All right, so a coordinate plane is divided into 4 regions used for graphing. We've already been graphing a little bit, so this should be familiar to you. So you're going to have your x-axis is your horizontal axis. Make sure you know the x is always horizontal. And then your y-axis is your vertical axis. Okay, so going up and down is y, and horizontal side to side is x. All right, your quadrant is divided into 4 parts. Quadrant 1, quadrant 2, that's 2, not a 3. The line here makes it look like a 3. Quadrant 3 here is in the bottom left, and then quadrant 4. And then your origin is in the center. All right, one thing I want you to look at with your quadrants, you always look at an ordered pair as your x and your y. So in quadrant 1, you're going from 0, you're going to the right, so that's positive. And then you're going up, and that's positive. So if you're in quadrant 1, your point, your x and y should both be positive. All right, if you're in quadrant 2, you're going left from 0, which means your x is negative, and you're going up, so your y is positive. In quadrant 3, you're going left of 0 and down. So all your points here, both x and y, would be negative. And quadrant 4, if you're going to the right, that's a positive. So your x is positive, and down means your y is negative. So that just kind of helps you know what the signs are going to be in those different quadrants. All right, again, to save some time, I've already got these filled in, but I want you to pause this and take notes and make sure that you understand where these things are coming from. So with point A, if you look on the graph, point A is in quadrant 2. That means you're going to have a negative x and a positive y. All right, so the big thing is knowing where you're at in the graph. So here's A, and you're going left 1, 2, 3. So negative direction 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So your ordered pair comes from your x direction moving left and your y direction moving up. And that is found in quadrant 2. B, you can see B is in quadrant 4. So it's going to be positive 2, down 3. C is on the y-axis, so this x doesn't move left or right, it just moves straight up from 0, 0. So it's going to be 0 and then up 2 on your y-axis. And then D is out here. D, if you count over from the origin, you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the right and up 1. Quadrant 1 is always positive, positive. And then point E, you're in quadrant 3, so you know that's going to be left and down, both negative. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to the left is negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So negative 4, negative 6. And then point F is on your x-axis, so you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 5. And then your y would be 0 because you're not moving up or down any. Okay, so be aware of what quadrant you're in and how to write those as ordered pairs, x first and then y. So let's make sure we always have ordered pair x and y, which is right above. All right, a discrete graph is a graph that has distinct points. This is in your vocab. And a continuous graph, as you can see, has a continuous line. So a continuous means you can trace this without picking up your pencil. This one is discrete. The points are separated. This one is continuous. All right, a relation, the definition of a relation is a set of ordered pairs. All right, and the set of your x values is called your domain, and the set of y values is called the range. That's two more definitions that you've seen on your definitions page. All right, so given ordered pairs, you can find the domain and range. You can create a table. You can make a mapping diagram, and you can graph the ordered pairs. So these are many different representations of the same points. So I want you to look at the ordered pairs, -3, 1. Your domain is going to be all of the x values. So you're going to take the x value from each ordered pair. Remember, x is the first number in your ordered pair, and that becomes the domain. You can see that -3 shows up twice, but you only write it one time. And you're always going to write the domain and range from least to greatest. So -3, -2, +1, and 3 are the four numbers that make up your x numbers or domain. All right, so the range is your y values. So here's 1, 0, 2, -4, and 5. And then you're going to start with -4 because that's your smallest number, 0, 1, 2, and 5. So that makes up your range. All right, in the table, your x's are listed here. Those come straight from your ordered pairs. And then your y's are listed as well. So a table, you just put your domain in one column and you put your range in the other column. That's simple. All right, mapping diagram. Okay, it always just looks kind of like these little oval type things. But again, you're going to have your range and you're going to have your domain. Now you may say, well, what are those lines doing? Well, if you look at your ordered pairs, -3 maps to 1. So -3 is going to map to 1. And -3 also went to 5. So it's just showing that that goes to two separate y values. And then -2 went to 0. And 1 went to 2, and 3 went to 4. So the mapping diagram, again, is just another representation of those ordered pairs. All right, so to graph these. All right, so to graph your points, you're going to look at the first ordered pair, -3, 1. So if you start at the origin and you count left 3, 1, 2, 3, and then up 1, so that is your first point there. Okay, and then -2, -2, 0 is right on the x-axis, and then +1 up 2, so you're going to the right from the origin 1 up 2 gives you the next point, and then you go from the origin to the right 3 and down 1, 2, 3, 4 to get the next point, and then go left 3 and up 5 to get your last point. And again, that's just how you graph those ordered pairs. All right, guys, so let's talk about domain and range of a continuous graph. Okay, domain is from left to right. So it's your x-axis, so you're going to scan your pencil from left to right and identify the x values in which you are touching or which are touching the graph. The range is going to go from top to bottom and which ones are touching the graph. Sometimes these are a little bit more challenging for students. So if we go from left to right, it's got an arrow and it goes in both directions. It goes to the left forever with an arrow and it goes to the right forever with an arrow. So that indicates all real numbers. And there's a symbol in math. It's like an R with two lines on it. Okay, so draw two lines and make an R, and that represents all real numbers. So you are welcome to use that symbol if you want to. You don't have to. You can write out all real numbers. But if you want to use, I can't write properly. If you want to use that symbol, feel free to. So R with 2 lines, that means all real numbers. All right, now on your range, you can see here it comes, the lowest point on the graph is at -2. So your range is going to be everything greater than or equal to -2. Since that's a continuous line, where it changes directions there, that point, that vertex point, is part of the range. So that's why it's greater than or equal to -2. All right, the next one is a circle. And the domain is going to be your x's. And your x's go all the way from here to here. So if you count over, that's 1, 2, 3 to the left and 1, 2, 3 to the right. So your domain is all numbers between -3 and 3. This can be written as -3 less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 3. All right, then you're going to look at the range. So you're going to go top to bottom. So the highest point on this graph would be, again, +3, and the lowest point is -3. Your range is your y values, so you can notice here in the middle, this is y instead of x. So your range is -3, less than or equal to y, less than or equal to 3. All right, since people struggle with this a little bit, let's look at a couple more of these. Number 3, if you look, this has an arrow and an arrow. It's a continuous line, and it has an arrow going in both directions, left and right. So again, that's all real numbers when it's a continuous graph, and you can use the symbol as well. All right, now it's gradually going up to the left, and it's gradually going down. It may be gradually going up and down, but again, the arrow means it's going to continue forever, so your range, which is your y values, also can be listed as all real numbers. All right, number 4. This is a parabola. You don't have to know the name of that yet, but you'll get familiar with it as time goes. All right, so number 4, we're looking at domain and range. So it's going, we're looking at the x's first. So if you travel to the left, this is going it down and to the left, but it's still going to the left with an arrow. This is a continuous graph, and it's going to the right with an arrow. So your domain going left and right, all real numbers again. And then the highest point here, it turns, it goes up, and then it turns and goes back down. So the range is going to be everything less than or equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So your range is all numbers less than or equal to 5. All right, skip down to number 7. We're going to look at a couple more of these real quick and then talk about something else. All right, so number 7, talking about domain and range. Again, there's an arrow on both sides. It's continuous graph, and it's going to your left and right forever. So again, that's all real numbers. And then your range actually has a limit this time. So if you look, your highest point here and your lowest point determine your range. So if you count up from the origin, 1, 2, the highest point is +2, and the lowest point is 1, 2, 3. So your range again is your y's, and it's going to be all numbers in between -3 and 2. Because this is a curve, it is continuous, and it stays in between -3 and 2. All right, number 8, the domain only goes to -1. So you're going to see that the origin is here. The graph goes out to -1 and turns and goes back. So that's going to be all x's greater than or equal to -1. And then your range continues up forever and down forever. Range is your y values. In this case, that would be all real numbers.